Hey, it's Paul. This is the video for Feeling Alright by Joe Cocker, issue 241, First Base and Beyond. Relatively simple song. It only has two chords. Those two chords are used throughout the different sections of the song. There's a chorus and a verse, essentially the two different parts of the song. What's interesting from a bass perspective is that in the chorus part is kind of the more feels busier part. The notes that are being used in the bass line, and I've copped these ideas from the Mad Dogs and Englishmen album version, which was a live album Joe Cocker recorded in the US in 1970, I think, and Carl Radle was the bass player on that, by the way. And what Carl did was he uses the same notes in the chorus as he does in the verse, but he has a really subtle change of rhythm and note duration in each of those sections, so that what he's playing in the chorus and the verse, even though note-wise it's almost identical, sounds quite different. And this is a really cool little bassline tip to take away from this tutorial. Something that you can do in other songs where you've got very similar chords in the verse and the chorus. It kind of almost like a 2 or 4 chord vamp kind of song. These kind of songs do exist, and what you can do to delineate your bass line is just change up. Even in this instance, the easier way to delineate it would be to play completely different bass lines in the verse and the chorus, but in this instance he doesn't play completely different bass lines. The notes, as we'll see when we go through the sections, the notes are almost identical in the chorus as the verse, and the thing that changes is the duration of the notes, and there's some slight rhythmic elements changing, and it's enough to make a difference to help signal to the listener that here we're in a chorus where we're playing a bit busier, here where it's a bit more staccato sounding we're in a verse, or we're back to the chorus so the notes sound blend into each other a bit more and a tiny bit busier, or we're back to the verse so it's a bit more staccato. But the basic note patterns remain the same throughout. Have a listen to the original if you can find it. It's a really interesting live album, worth getting hold of. There's a deluxe version as well, which has got extra tracks on, which I got and I think's worth paying the extra money for and getting. Really interesting album. Especially this was just before I think Carl Radle went off with Derek and the Dominoes and Clapton, and started basically being Eric Clapton's sideman for the rest of his career, although he did do other sessions and stuff. But there's a really interesting point in Carl Radle's development, so if you're a Carl Radle fan you should check that album out. Okay, that's enough talking, let's get on with the tutorial. We'll start with the chorus. The bass, the tune opens with the piano riff, and then the vocal plays with the piano and you hear some bongos, and then that's the first verse, and then the bass comes in. We've got some pickup notes on the first chorus, and that's where we're going to pick the tune up. So you hear that with the bassless backing track, and then we'll talk through what we're actually playing, and then we'll go on and we'll look at the verse and see how we're using, as I've said, almost the identical notes, but we've changed the duration of the notes to give it a slightly subtler feel. So let's go and listen to the bass coming in on the first chorus, and then we'll talk through the notes. 3, 2, 1, chorus. Okay, just heard the first chorus. We're going to go through it, 8-bar section. We're going to go through it slowly in 2-bar chunks, and you'll see that the 2-bar chunks are all pretty similar, just have minor rhythmic variations as we go through them. We'll start with the 3 pickup notes that bring the section in. It's just A, B flat, B. open A string, first and second frets of the A string. Then we've got the first C7 bar, and we're going to play something like this. That F's obviously the downbeat of the F chord, so it's C, A, G, B, C, C, A, G, C. C's the third fret of the A string, open A string, B's the second fret of the A string, and the G is the third fret of the E string. So C, A, G, B, C, C, A, G, C, and then we're up to F. We're going to play similar patterns, but moved up to F. So slightly different rhythm to start with though. So we're playing F, F, D, C, C, E, F, A, B flat, B natural. So F, third fret of the D string, open D string, C, third fret of the A string again, two of those, E at the second fret of the D string, F, third fret of the D string again, down to the open A string, then we've got B flat, open A string, B flat, B natural. Really nice little chromatic run there that you can use in other patterns. And again, one of the things that I talk about is when you're learning a song, if you find little patterns that you like, look for ways to use them in other songs as well. So instead of normally what you would do when you're going down from F to A, you go to B flat to B to C. F is the root note in that instance, A is the third, and then you'd go to C, which is the next target root note, via B flat and B. You get that strong chromatic run. But what's done here is we go from F down to A, then we go to B flat, and then back to A and B flat and B before we hit C. Just a little change to that run that it's a really common sound. So a nice interesting one to add to your kind of vocabulary. So I'll play those two bars slowly so you can hear them in context. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. And that second bar is the kind of rhythm we're going to take out for the rest of the chorus pattern. So I'll play the next two bars. So all that I've just played is based on the notes that we've already looked at, so I won't call out the note locations this time so that we can move through it a little quicker. So we've got two C's, open A, two G's, B, two C's, open A, two G's, C. And that takes us to the fourth bar, which is in F7. Play the fourth bar. Again, we've played all these notes, so I won't call out the note locations, just the note names. It starts with two F's, D, two C's, E, F, A, B flat, B. And notice this time, F, A, B flat, B, before we get to the next C, the downbeat of bar 5. So much more traditional pattern there, much more traditional way to get from F down to the major third, B flat, B, to form that chromatic run to C. So that's maybe how you're more used to hearing that. So don't forget that, where we go from B flat back to A. Really nice little run there. Worth learning this song just for learning that one little pattern, in my opinion. That takes us to bar 5. I'll play bar 5 and bar 6. Now they're almost identical to bars 3 and 4. The main difference is in bar 6, when we're going from F, A, we're going to play 2 16th notes B flats before we get to B, whereas in bar 4 we played B and B flat as 8th notes. So in bar 4 we played, in bar 6 we'll play, and bar 7 and 8 again are very similar to what we've already covered. So there's a tiny variation in bar 7. I'll play bar 7 and 8 and I'll talk through that variation. So the main variation is in bar 3 we played, but in bar 7 we play. So there's a tiny rhythmic variation there on beats 2 and beats 4. But again, the notes are all the same. C, A, G, B, C, C, A, G, C. And then bar 8 is identical to bar 4, which is 2 Fs, D, C, E, F, A, B flat, B natural. And then and there again we've got that conventional way that we go from F down to the major third A, B flat, B, C, which is how you'll hear it in most blues tunes. So I repeat, do listen out to that first bar where we're going down. We're going down from F to the major third, which is A in the key of F, and then instead of playing B flat, B to C, playing B flat A, B flat B to C. Just one note difference, but it makes a nice little difference. It's a nice little line, in my opinion. A good one to add to your kind of vocabulary that you have for tunes like this. Okay, let's move on to the next section, which is the verse, and we'll listen to the play along and listen to how similar it is sounding, but how subtly different by the change in rhythm that's being used in the bass line. Okay, you just heard the verse with the backing track. Hopefully you picked out the thing that I've been talking about through this lesson of just the change in rhythm. So again, all the note locations we've played, the patterns are made up in C7. We're always playing C, A, G, B, C, A, G, C, always that kind of combination. We've done those note locations, and in the F7 bar we're always playing F, D, C, E, F, A, B flat, B, and we've done those note locations before. But notice how, so I'll play the first 2 bars so you can really hear this. Play it slowly. 2, 3, 4. And so notice how those shorter duration notes really change up the feel. Still playing the same notes. So the first 2 bars would be something like C, A, G, B, C, C, A, G, C, F, D, C, E, F, A, B flat, B, back to C. And whereas before we were playing more that kind of thing, where it was the notes were much longer, that kind of feel, whereas now it's only a tiny change in feel there in terms of what you're doing. Still playing the same kind of notes, but it does change it up dramatically. So that's basically what we're going to do for the verse. So all the bars in C7 are all pretty much built on this figure. So which is just C, A, G, B, C, C, A, G, C, and then in the F bars we've basically got 2 bars. We've got the one we use on bar 2 and bar 4. So it's just F, D, C, E, F, A, B flat, B, and then we've got a variation that we use on bars 4 and 8, which is this, which is just F, D, C, E, F, A, B flat, B flat, B, B, 16th notes. Now there, you could swap out that run with the one that we had in the verse where we went from B flat to A to B flat before we go to B. So that variation would be really nice variation, really nice change to the nice subtle change to the feel of the line, just by swapping out that second B flat for an open A, going back to the B flat before you go to the B natural. Something to investigate, because I think it sounds really nice and it's really worth adding to your kind of vocabulary. So the verse is much simpler, but do concentrate and focus on getting those staccato notes. I'll just play through 4 bars of the verse, just so you can hear the 2 different patterns on the F7 bar being used in the same kind of playthrough. So it'd be something like this. And there I used the conventional 2 B flats, 2 Bs. I'm just going to play the 2 bars in F, just so you can hear the difference. I'm going to play 2 bars in F. First bar, I'll play that conventional. I'll go to C as well, so that you can hear it going to C. And the second time, I'll play that different lead, so you can just hear it. So just play those just so you can hear them out of interest. So we'll start with C7, and this is what the 4 bars should sound like. Listen for the difference at the end of the F7 bars. So look out for that pattern. If you like the sound of it, practice it in other things. I think it sounds really cool. Certainly something I'm going to be working on and using in blues rock kind of tunes. I think it sounds really great. And that's another great reason why we learn bass lines from songs and what we can learn from them. We can find little things like that and go, hey, I really like that, just one little bar. And you can take that, practice it in all 12 keys, practice it in different tunes, different chord progressions, make it a part of your own repertoire. And by doing things like that, it means that as you're learning songs, not only are you expanding your repertoire of songs that you know and you can play in band situations, but you can also take little ideas from them and make them your own. So, like for example, I don't know for sure, because I haven't transcribed the whole of Carl Radle's bass line on that, but I don't know if Carl Radle actually ever uses that one beat phrase ever again in the song. Now that I've picked it out while teaching it, I'll have a listen to it and see if he does. But if he doesn't, that's a perfect example of how you can take a one beat phrase, add it to your repertoire of ideas, and when you play, people say, hey, I really like that cool line you do. No one will have any idea where you've picked it up from, taken it from. When you do that with lots of ideas from different players, that's how your sound starts to emerge, and it's how you organise ideas you've learnt from other people, combine them together to bring out something that becomes people recognise as distinctively your sound. So completely unintended consequence of this lesson, until I actually played through and did that and thought, oh, I really like that. It never occurred to me. So so hopefully you enjoyed learning Feeling Alright and looking at that little side detour of picking up something from a transcription and taking it and working it, putting it into your repertoire by the ways we often talk about, which is practicing in 12 keys, different chord progressions, etc., etc. So hope you enjoyed the lesson. I'll catch you next week.